Hey guys, it's Tila with Every Tuesday, and today we'll be creating a holiday postcard with a very festive border. We'll be utilizing our symmetry settings for this, as well as integrating non-symmetrical elements to speed the process along. This is a very beginner-friendly tutorial, so if you're brand new to Procreate or are just getting started with drawing, it's a great tutorial to get started with. I'll leave a link in the video description to my free Procreate for Beginners course, as well as the color palette for this and the brush set that we'll be using, which is my acrylic lovers brush set. And that will just give a very cool acrylic paint style digitally to our artwork, but please feel free to use any brushes that you'd like. I'm using a 7" by 5" canvas at 300 DPI. I work in the display P3 color profile, but if you're on an older iPad and don't have access to that, then the default sRGB color profile is perfectly fine. All right, I've got my canvas all set and ready to go here. So the first thing I want to do is drop in my background color, which is going to be this first color on the top row. And then we will create our borders. So I'm going to create a brand new layer. I'm going to switch my color to the lightest color. So it's the second color on the second row. And then within the acrylic lovers brush set, I'm going to select the sketching paint marker. And now we need to apply our symmetry settings. That way we've got repeating elements and it'll just really speed this along. So I'm going to hit the wrench, go to the canvas, and then toggle on drawing guide, and then hit edit drawing guide. Down here, you're going to tap on symmetry options and change this to quadrant, but make sure rotational symmetry is toggled off and assisted drawing is toggled on. That should be the default. And if you can't see your guidelines well, like I can't right here, all you have to do is tap on this rainbow slider to a lighter color. And then I'm also going to increase the opacity and the thickness of those guides so we can see them a little bit better on screen. All right, so now whatever we draw in one quadrant will be repeated in the other four. And I like starting with my shortest side first for this. So I'm going to rotate my canvas. It's always easier for me if I have it up at the top. And I think I need a little bit thicker of a brush. So I'm going to increase the size. The size will change depending on what iPad you're using, but I am at 10% for mine. Okay, that looks good. So for this short side border, I'm going to start at the point right here, do a loop, and then come around and do a curl. And then for this longer side, I'm going to actually start along this curl. And this one usually takes me a few tries because I'm trying to match up right in the middle where I do a loop. So I'll show you what my plan is. So I'm going to come around and then do a loop right here. And that loop feels a little too big. So I'll try again. I think that feels good. So we're going to move right along. I'm going to create a brand new layer and drag it underneath my borders. And I'm going to use the same symmetry settings again, but instead of having to go to the wrench and then find your symmetry settings, all you have to do is tap on the layer thumbnail and choose Drawing Assist, and it will take on whatever your previous settings were. So that's super handy and also saves a lot of time. We're going to use this darker color right above the light color. So it's the second one on the top row, and we're going to switch our brush to the streaky paintbrush. This is my favorite brush in this entire set, and it's because you get these really beautiful streaky paint textures when you paint, and it's got pressure sensitivity built into it. So the harder you push on your stylus, the larger your brush stroke will be. And that comes in handy when you're painting foliage, especially. So if I have a stem and then I want a leaf, all I have to do is lots of pressure and then little pressure, and I can get really pretty leaves right away. And they've got that streaky acrylic paint texture built right in. So that's how I'm drawing this first element, and I'm going to make them come off of the borders. So I'll just draw a line up and then add them in. If you're not comfortable with the pressure variation on your brush, you could also draw these as a pointed oval. So you just draw your pointed oval and then you fill it in. So that's an alternative method, and you still get those streaks in there too. Okay, I'm going to put another one right here. And you can see with this symmetry turned on that when you have elements that are getting close to each other, it starts getting too matchy-matchy. So I'm going to show you in a little bit how you can avoid that. I think they're spaced far enough apart right here, and we've got enough upcoming elements that we'll place in here where this part won't get as distracting. But I just wanted to make you aware that when you have symmetry turned on, it's something that you should always be looking at. Our leaves are complete now, and I want to add a little extra detail to these, and I want to show you how you can use your smudge brush to mimic the smudging that you find with real acrylic paint. So on this exact same layer, we're going to switch to the background color. So the first color on the top row, and all we're going to do is add a little color to the base of the leaves. And then we'll take our smudge brush, and if we tap on it, just make sure you have the same brush selected, the streaky paintbrush. And what we're going to do is just push this color. Let me reduce the size of this a little bit. Push the color around, and you get these really pretty blends. So it looks really subtle close up, but when you zoom out, you can see that we're getting some nice detail right there. And you can just smudge half the leaf if you want. And you can get some really pretty effects that way as well. So let me zoom out so you can see that. You get that nice pretty fold right there with the gradient coming off of it. It's a really quick and easy way to add some brightness or shadow to different elements and also some variation in color. So I really like it when it's split like that. This seems a little intense. Just remember that we've got two colors here, so we can smudge both colors. If this darker color is getting too intense like it is for me right here, all I have to do is smudge from the lighter color into the darker color, and I can reduce its intensity. And there we go. And because we have our symmetry settings turned on, you can see that took effect in the other places on my canvas as well. So I'm going to go around and repeat the same method for the other leaves that I have. And if you'd like to learn more about painting and smudging and creating realistic effects with the acrylic lovers brush set, I'll leave a link on screen and in the video description to my Fantasy Birds and Blooms course, where we do a lot of smudging and painting with this exact brush set, which actually is included in that course. I've got all of my leaves completed now with those pretty details. And remember, you can take this as far as you would like and customize this to fit your own needs. If you'd like them plain, if you don't want this extra color variation, just leave it out or use a different brush set completely. It's totally up to you. This design has so much flexibility for you to make it your own, from the border style to how many elements and which elements you'd like to integrate, as well as the colors too. So feel free to adapt this however you would like. The next element that we're going to paint in are some berry branches. So I'm going to create a brand new layer and apply those symmetry settings once more. But this is where we're going to start breaking it up between symmetrical and non-symmetrical elements. So we'll start with the symmetry elements first. I'm going to tap on the layer thumbnail and choose Drawing Assist again. And then I'm going to switch to my tan color, which is the last color on the second row, and then switch my brush back to the sketching paint marker, but I need it to be not so thick this time. I'm going to come down to about 6%. And once again, just add these in. These are branches, so I'll draw a line up and then just lines coming off of them. And you can add as many branches as you would like here. And just remember, we're going to be attaching berries to the ends of the branches. So the more ends you have, the more berries you'll have. Okay, so now as I'm getting closer to the center, if I draw a branch here, it's just going to get crazy. Like, we definitely don't want it to look like this. So in order to avoid that, even though we have symmetry settings turned on this layer, we can turn them off at any point in time. All we have to do is tap on the layer thumbnail and deactivate our drawing assist. So I'm just going to tap on that, and now it's turned off. And now when I draw a branch in here, it only appears once. But just keep in mind that because we're drawing these individually, it means we have to draw all of them. It's not automated for us anymore, so it is going to require a little bit of extra time. But in my mind, it's completely worth it because the viewer's eye will start not noticing the other elements that are symmetrical. So it will kind of look like to them that you drew everything from scratch. So that's a really nice bonus. I'm just going to cross my middle line now because I want to break up that symmetry even further and add a big element in right here. And I'll repeat that for all four sides. Okay, I've got these drawn in, and also keep in mind, because we're adding berries to this, we have to repeat the exact same process. So I'm going to create a brand new layer right above this one. This will be my berry layer. So I'm going to tap on the layer thumbnail and choose Drawing Assist. We'll do the symmetrical ones first, and then we'll come in and add in the ones that we did individually. It's just easier for me to see them and find where the non-symmetrical ones are once I do the symmetry ones. I'm going to switch to my darkest red color and then also select, let's do the round semi for these ones. And we'll come in and just put a dot on these. And this is also a pressure sensitive brush, so I could just dot them however I would like, and that'll give me more texture. And remember, the less pressure you put on your stylus, the smaller your berry will be, the more, the larger it'll be. I actually really like the look of that, so I think I'm going to do that for all of these. And I don't want 3 in a row right here, even though my stems come up the same distance, so I'll make sure I press this one a little lower down on the stem, just to break that up a little bit. I've got my symmetrical elements completed now, so I'm just going to come back to that same layer, tap on the layer thumbnail, deactivate my drawing assist, and then complete my other branches. Our berry branches are done now, so now it's time to create our eucalyptus. I'm going to create a brand new layer. I'm going to switch to my lightest color, and let's see. I think I'm going to use the sketching paint marker for this one, and my brush size for this is 10%, but once again, that may differ depending on which iPad you're using. And I do want to start with the symmetry and then add in my non-symmetrical elements, the same exact process we just followed for our berry branches. So I'm going to tap on the layer thumbnail and choose Drawing Assist. And for these ones, when I draw them, I'm going to, let me bring this down even further. I'm going to come down to 6%. When I draw these, I'll come up, and these ones vary in size. So just think of what a eucalyptus leaf looks like. So it's a little squished, but still has that kind of pointed oval shape. And then I can either paint them in with this brush or switch to another brush to paint them in. And then sometimes we have shapes that look like this. Sometimes we have ones that are coming off the side. So this one, just do whatever you feel is most comfortable. A really beginner-friendly style of eucalyptus is just to come up, make that shape, and then just alternate the angle of these all the way down. So you don't have to vary up all of your different styles of leaves if you don't want to. This will still work really, really well as a eucalyptus branch. I've got my symmetrical eucalyptus in now, so now I'm going to switch to my non-symmetrical. I'm going to tap on the layer thumbnail, deactivate Drawing Assist, and add those ones in. Eucalyptus is complete, and I just have 2 elements left for us to add to these borders before we add in our lettering. So the next one will be little holly leaves and holly berries. I'm going to create a brand new layer, but this time I'm going to drag it underneath everything I've drawn so far. These are going to be more background supporting elements, this one and then the next one. So I'm going to bring it down here. I'm going to apply my symmetry settings again and switch my color to the first color on the second row. And then I'm going to switch my brush to, let's try the streaks brush for this one. With these ones, so these ones do require a little bit of practice, but they are simple shapes. What you want to do is you come over, come over, come up, and then repeat the exact same thing on the other side, and then you can just fill it in. Now this brush has pressure variation, so just make sure when you're filling it in that you don't get carried away when you get to the edges, because then it'll push out. So that's the shape that we're going for our holly leaves. And you can make one on its own if you want. You can do 2 together. I'm gonna reduce the size of my brush a little bit so I can control this a little more. And it's okay to go behind elements. That just helps create a sense of depth with otherwise very flat elements. So any opportunity you have where you can do that, I would take it. I've got my symmetrical holly leaves in here now, so I'm going to toggle that off, tap on the layer thumbnail, disable Drawing Assist, and just add in those extra ones. The leaves are all done. I'm going to add a little bit of extra detail to these. This is totally optional. I'm going to create a brand new layer, apply my symmetry settings, and then switch my color to the background color. And I can use the exact same brush, or actually, I think the sketching paint marker might work a little bit better, but I need to bring down the size to like 3%. And on these ones, since I've got symmetry on, I need to take care of these first. I'm just going to draw a line down the center. and then these curved lines that extend out to the points, but they don't touch the points. So it's just a little leaf detail in here. I'm going to add in those extra details to the ones that don't have symmetry. So just toggle off drawing assist and fill those in. All right, holly leaves are complete, but they need some holly berries. So we need one more layer for these. I'm going to create a brand new layer, switch to my lightest red color, and let's use the round semi again for these berries. And I might make these ones just a little bit smaller than the berry branches so they appear a little bit different, especially when we've got close proximity between the two. So let's turn on symmetry for these. I'll take care of those and then take care of the non-symmetrical ones, and then I'll be back for our final element. Holly leaves and berries are all done now, and now it's time for our final element, which is just another leafy branch. And the job of this branch is to just fill in any gaps that we still have to make everything feel really full and festive. So anywhere your eye spots a little too much white space, that's where we're going to pop this in. It's going to be behind all of our elements, and we're going to add some extra texture just to add a little more variety to our acrylic style here. So what I'm going to do is create a brand new layer right above the background layer. I'm going to switch to this very light tan color, so it's the last one on the top row. And then for this one, we'll be using the super streaky brush. One other thing to mention for this one, I want to make sure I get that feeling that we didn't use the symmetry settings at all on this. So anyone that looks at this thinks that we drew every single element individually. So I'm leaving symmetry off for this one, and I'm just going to go around the entire border and just fill in all of my gaps without having to worry about where it's symmetrical and where it's not symmetrical, because this is such a basic leafy branch. So that will make everything feel much fuller. And because it's not symmetrical, we're not going to have any repeating elements anywhere, which just adds to that effect. To draw this one, all you want to do is draw your line up. And then this one's going to have a curvy top. So it's like a teardrop shape. And then you can just scribble it in. You can do multiple layers scribbled in if you want to darken up some of these little leaves. But it's got a nice dry brush texture to it. So that's the shape that we're drawing, and we're just going to squeeze this into any of our white spaces. Our festive border is complete now, and all we need to do to finish this off is to add in our message. I'm going to leave my guideline on just for this because I have a tendency to write uphill really easily. So this guideline is going to help keep my lettering straight, and then we'll turn that off and take a look at everything. So what I'm going to do is up at the very top, create a brand new layer, switch to your lightest color, the second one on the second row, and then I'm going to switch to my streaky paintbrush for the lettering, or use any brush that you're comfortable with for lettering. Remember, this one is pressure sensitive, so you will get those really pretty thicks and thins for your downstrokes and upstrokes if you choose to use the same brush. I'm going to also share a tip on creating arced text. I'm going to write holidays in script and then do an arc of happy in sans serif all caps. So let's do holidays first. Now I want to add some arced text right above holidays. So my trick for this is create a brand new layer, and we'll draw the arc the distance that we want our lettering to span. So I'm just going to visually tell where the middle is. And then I can reduce the opacity of this arc, create a brand new layer right above it. And now we can evenly space out our letters. Now we can turn off the visibility of our arc, and we've got well-spaced letters that follow that curve. I'm going to toggle them up just a little bit, so I've got a little extra distance between everything. And let's also turn off our drawing guide, and we are all set. Once again, everything mentioned in this tutorial is linked up right in the video description, including the free Procreate for Beginners course, the brushes, and the free color palette. If you enjoyed this tutorial, please hit the like button, subscribe, and I will see you next time.